Strong hook, first 15 seconds optimized for YouTube. The warlord laughed. Not a nervous laugh, not a curious one. It was the deep, echoing sound of absolute dominance, the kind of laughter that had ended civilizations. Across the obsidian negotiation chamber of the Xerox Dominion flagship, towering alien generals joined him, their armored limbs clicking in amusement. Holographic stars rotated slowly around them, each one marking a conquered world. And at the center of it all stood a single human, unarmed, unarmored, smiling. "Tell me again," the alien warlord sneered, leaning forward on his throne of living metal, "why your species thinks it deserves mercy." The human diplomat did not flinch. He simply smiled wider. And that was the moment the galaxy made its first mistake. 1. The galaxy knows fear, humans don't. For over 10,000 cycles, the Xerox Dominion ruled through terror. They were not the strongest species in the galaxy. They were not the fastest. They were not even the most intelligent. But they were the most ruthless. Their war doctrine was simple. Break one world so completely that 1,000 others surrender without a fight. Entire star systems had fallen silent at the sound of Xerox warships entering orbit. Species with claws, psionic powers, and planet-cracking weapons all bowed eventually. So when Earth appeared on the Dominion's expansion charts, it was classified as insignificant. A mid-gravity world. No natural shields. Primitive FTL. Emotion-driven leadership. Easy prey. The Xerox did not attack at first. They sent a message. 2. The threat that ended a century of peace, the transmission was broadcast on every human channel simultaneously. Surrender your military, your orbital defenses, and your planetary autonomy. Comply, and your species will be preserved as labor stock. Refuse, and Earth will be sterilized. The galaxy waited. Most species folded within hours. Humans took 3 days. Not to surrender, to argue. Human governments debated. Militaries ran simulations. Scientists calculated probabilities that all ended the same way. Total annihilation. And then, against every expectation, humanity sent a response. Not a fleet, not a weapon. A diplomat. 3. The man who walked into a warlord's court. Ambassador Elias Monroe stepped onto the Xerox flagship alone. No escort, no visible weapons. No armor, just a tailored diplomatic suit and a small metallic pin on his chest earth symbol. Xerox soldiers lined the corridor, each one capable of killing him with a single strike. Their mandibles twitched in anticipation. He walked calmly. Observers across the galaxy tuned in, certain they were watching a public execution. Instead, they saw something unprecedented. The humans smiled at his captors. 4. Why is it smiling? The Xerox warlord, Croth Valzuin, was ancient even by his species standards. His body bore the scars of 100 victorious campaigns. He studied the human like one might study a malfunctioning creature. "You should be afraid," Croth said. "Your kind always is." Elias Monroe inclined his head respectfully. "Fear is natural," he replied. "But it's not always useful." The chamber went silent. A Xerox general hissed in disbelief. Another activated a weapon just in case. Croth laughed again. "Look at its mouth," the warlord said mockingly. "It bares its teeth like a weak animal, trying to appear dangerous." The galaxy's commentators agreed. They thought the smile was desperation. They were wrong. 5. The human explanation no one expected. Elias tapped the small pin on his chest. A hologram burst to life between them, not of weapons, of history. Collapsed cities, burned landscapes, mushroom clouds, ruined monuments. "This," Elias said calmly, "is our past." Croth leaned forward, intrigued. "You show me your failures as intimidation?" "No," Elias replied softly. "I show you our survival. The images changed, rebuilding cities, medical breakthroughs, spacecraft lifting from scarred worlds. We fight ourselves more than we fight others," Elias continued. "We always have.
Nice.
And yet we're still here." The smile never left his face. 6. The smile becomes a warning. Croth's eyes narrowed. "You think this makes you special?" Elias met his gaze. "No," he said. It makes us dangerous." A ripple of unease passed through the chamber. Dangerous species were usually loud, aggressive, proud. This one was calm. You threaten us with extinction, Elias said. But extinction is something we've rehearsed for. That finally wiped the amusement from Croth's face. 7. A promise, not a threat. Elias raised one finger. We are not here to beg. We are here to inform you. The hologram shifted again, this time to schematics. Human engineering. Adaptive AI systems. Self-evolving defense networks. We do not win wars quickly, Elias said. We win them eventually. Croth rose from his throne, towering over the human. You are smiling, the warlord growled, because you think you cannot lose? Elias looked up at him. No, he said quietly. I'm smiling because you already have. Hezarok Dominion had destroyed stars. They had cracked planets open like fragile shells and watched oceans boil from orbit. Entire species had vanished after a single Xeric warning, so when their war council voted unanimously to erase Earth, they believed it would be remembered as a footnote. They did not realize they were authoring their own downfall. 1. The decision that shocked the galaxy. Within hours of the failed diplomatic meeting, Xeric Command issued a classified directive, Directive Oblivion. Human diplomacy is a deception. Human calm is defiance. Earth must be neutralized before adaptation occurs. Across conquered systems, alien observers reacted with grim familiarity. This is how it always ends, one elder species whispered. They laughed, and they burned. Even sympathetic races turned away. No one challenged the Dominion, no one except humans. 2. The fleet that blotted out the stars, the Xerok War Armada, entered soul space like a living storm. Thousands of ships, gravitic lances glowing, military siege cannons charging. From Earth's surface, the sky changed color. Satellites went dark, civilian networks flooded with emergency alerts. Children stared upward as unfamiliar stars moved with terrifying intent. Human militaries scrambled, but not in panic. In preparation. 3. Ambassador Monroe's last message before the first shot was fired. A transmission left Earth. It was not encrypted. It was not hidden. It was broadcast openly to the Xerok fleet and the entire galaxy. Elias Monroe stood before the camera, still wearing that calm expression. You chose violence, he said simply. That was always your right. He paused. So this, he added, is our response. The feed cut, and the humans went silent. 4. The first strike that should have ended everything. Xeric commanders did not wait. Their doctrine demanded overwhelming force. The first volley targeted Earth's moon. A symbolic gesture. Gravitic weapons tore through lunar rock, shattering ancient craters and sending debris spiraling into space. The message was clear. This is mercy. Earth comes next. Across the fleet, Xeric warriors roared in triumph. Then something unexpected happened. Nothing. Earth did not retaliate. No missiles, no energy beams, no desperate counterattack. The Xerac laughed. 5. There, frozen in fear, warlord Croth Valzuin watched the feeds with satisfaction. Begin planetary sterilization, he ordered. Targeting systems locked onto Earth's continents. And then one by one, Xerok ships began to drift. 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 Navigation systems failed simultaneously. Power cores dropped to emergency levels. Communications filled with static. Report. Croth demanded. No answer. Only silence. 6. The human weapon that wasn't a weapon deep beneath Earth's surface. In bunkers older than some nations, human engineers watched data streams with grim focus. This was not a missile defense. It was information warfare. For decades, humanity had studied alien technology through intercepted signals, probes, and first contact data. They learned one terrifying truth. Most galactic species trusted automation too much. Humans didn't. The Xeric fleet wasn't under attack. It was being confused. 7. The Ghost signaled a low-frequency signal pulsed through soul space, undetectable to most sensors, except Xeric ones. The signal mimicked Dominion command protocols, introducing microscopic contradictions into their AI systems. Navigation disagreed with targeting. Weapons conflicted with shields. Orders canceled themselves. Xerok technology began to argue with itself. Lost 8. Panic in the unbeatable fleet for the first time in Xerox history. Fear spread. Manual override. Officers screamed, but Xerox ships were never meant to be flown manually. Our species had evolved with integrated combat AI. Human ships had not. Earth's defense fleet launched not to attack but to observe. Human commanders watched as enemy vessels drifted helplessly, colliding, shutting down, or tearing themselves apart, trying to reboot incompatible systems. "This is impossible," a Xeric general hissed. "No," Croth growled. "This is intentional." 9. Humanity finally speaks with force. Only after the Xerox fleet was crippled did humans strike. Precision railgun fired disabled engines. EMP bursts neutralized weapons without detonations. Boarding craft moved in silence, not to slaughter, to capture. Xerox warriors, once gods of war, found themselves disarmed by creatures they had mocked hours earlier, and still, Earth did not target civilian ships. The galaxy noticed. 10. The message that changed everything in new broadcast echoed through Seoul. Elias Monroe again. Behind him, live footage showed Xerox vessels floating powerless, human crews working efficiently among them. "You threatened our extinction," Elias said calmly. "We listened." He folded his hands. "This is what restraint looks like." The galaxy reeled. 11. Croth's realization. On his flagship, Croth Valzuin finally understood the smile. It was not arrogance. It was confidence born of experience. Humans had survived themselves, wars without reason, weapons without limits, leaders without mercy. They had learned restraint the hard way. "You could have destroyed us," Croth said over an open channel. "Yes," Elias replied. "But then you'd never learn." 12. The hardest lesson in the galaxy. Elias's voice hardened, just slightly. "Humans don't win by being stronger. We win by adapting faster than fear." He leaned closer to the camera. "And next time," he said, "we might not choose restraint." The transmission ended. 13. A galaxy rethinks humanity across thousands of worlds. Alien councils fell silent. The narrative had shattered. Humans were not weak. They were not loud. They were not conquerors. They were prepared. Preparation. The galaxy realized too late was far more dangerous than power. The galaxy had seen empires fall, but it had never seen one spared. That terrified them more than extinction ever could. Because mercy, when wielded by the capable, was a weapon no one knew how to defend against. And humanity was about to prove that lesson permanently. 1. The silence after victory. The Sol system was quiet. Not the peaceful quiet of safety, but the heavy stillness that follows a storm powerful enough to reshape worlds. Xerox warships drifted helplessly in controlled orbits. Human boarding crews worked efficiently, almost gently, disabling systems and escorting prisoners without celebration. There were no victory songs, no cheering crowds, just purpose. Across Earth, people watched the feeds in stunned disbelief. They had survived. But survival, humanity knew, was only the first step. 2. The galaxy holds its breath. Alien councils convened emergency sessions. Ancient species that had never spoken to humans before began drafting messages. Some begged for alliance. Others warned of retaliation. Few quietly asked the unthinkable question: if humans could do this to the Xerox, what could they do to us? Humanity did not answer. Not yet. 3. Croth Valzuin faces judgment. Warlord Croth stood restrained in a neutral chamber aboard a human vessel. No torture, no humiliation, no spectacle. That frightened him more than chains ever could. "You have won," Croth growled. "End it." Ambassador Elias Monroe stood before him, no longer smiling.
"No," Elias replied.
"We've moved past that." Croth's mandibles twitched. "You will destroy the Dominion eventually." Elias met his gaze. "Only if you force us to." 4. Humanity's true weapon is revealed. A massive transmission activated galaxy-wide. Every major species received it simultaneously. Human leaders appeared, not generals, but scientists, engineers, historians. Elias's voice carried calmly across the stars. "We are not conquerors," he said. "We're survivors." The feed shifted. Human history unfolded, raw and unfiltered. Wars that scarred continents. Weapons that nearly erased the species. Moments where extinction came not from aliens, but from humans themselves. "We learned restraint," Elias said.
God.
Because we are kind, but because we are dangerous when we are not. 5. The offer no empire had ever made, Elias turned back to Croth. The Xeric dominion will not be destroyed. Gasps echoed across alien worlds. Croth stared in disbelief. You spare us? No, Elias corrected. We change you. Terms appeared. Disarmament. Open technology audits. Independent oversight by neutral species. Human-designed fail-safes, integrated into Xeric systems. Not domination. Accountability 6. The warlord breaks. Croth trembled not in rage, but understanding. You are rewriting power itself, he whispered. Yes, Elias said. Because fear is inefficient. The Xeric warlord lowered his head. In full view of the galaxy, the undefeated conqueror surrendered. Not to force, to reason. 7. The day the smile disappeared as the agreement finalized, one alien observer noticed something unsettling. The human diplomat was no longer smiling. Later, when asked why, Elias answered simply, "Smiles are for warnings. This is responsibility 8. Humanity's final message to the stars, one last broadcast." Elias stood before Earth's symbol. "But let this be remembered," he said. "Humans will not rule the galaxy. We will not burn it. But if extinction is threatened, we will adapt faster than fear. Think deeper than hatred and respond with precision." He paused. "And next time," he added quietly, "we won't need to smile." The signal ended. 9. A new galactic order in the cycles that followed. Empires disarmed voluntarily, diplomacy replaced intimidation. Human advisors were requested, not demanded. Humanity became something unprecedented. Not rulers, referees, and the galaxy slept a little easier, knowing that the species capable of ending everything had chosen not to. 10. Epilogue, the hardest lesson on a distant world. An alien child asked their teacher, "Why are humans feared?" The teacher thought carefully before answering. "Because they survive themselves," they said. Decided no one else should have to. End of story. HFY.